Welcome back to Declare Your Independence. We got a busy day today. We're doing a lot of stuff, but one of the things that we're going to be taking care of because we can, and I want to be supportive of anything that's going to decentralize our life. We're going to have hopefully a short conversation with Jason Crowe. Jason Crowe from Qortal, QORTAL.org. Now, this is a decentralized internet. I'm going to have him explain what it is really quick. We had a couple of shows on this with Mike Winter and with Jason Crowe, and we're semi-excited about what can be possible and how it can interface with our ability to communicate and not be censored, you know, it goes right along with our IPFS efforts. But there's some other features in there we've talked about in the previous show. But what we're going to do today is it's kind of a tutorial. Hopefully it'll be of use to a lot of people. But from my perspective, it's we're going to demonstrate and see how just buttony it is. Because they're always going, oh, yeah, you just. Or you do it, you just. And I'm going, uh-huh. Well, we're going to, I tell you what, I got a computer here that is, it's a year or two old, but it's, it's got skills. So I'm going, God, which freaking mouse? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the, now he told me, right?
Yeah, there you go.
System.
Yeah.
All right, now he's looking at, the thing. Let me show you this. Now, it's an HP Pavilion. It is, you get an echo or?
I get an echo when you go on this type of screen.
Okay, because I need to turn off the microphone on this one. So let me go ahead and do that.
You should be able to mute it in Zoom, no?
No. Well, I did mute it in Zoom on here.
Oh.
Okay, let me see.
It's just picking it up otherwise. Okay.
Yeah, let me see. Is there a mute for the Zoom?
There's no echo now.
There's no echo now?
No echo now.
And we know why? No, we don't. All right. So, anyway. So, what we're going to do is in the system screen, you have the
specs.
Yeah, of this computer, but I'm wanting you to describe. We can go through it, and you can. Let me go one by one. You tell me what is required to run Qortal, because I don't think it. I'm sure this computer will do it.
Yes.
You can do it on Raspberries. Now it's an HP Pavilion X360, whatever that means. Now what happened is we got two of these as backup computers because everything's got to be Windows everything to do anything. So I go, all right, fine. I'll have that in the back for when I need to interface with inverters or I need to interface with whatever or some program I have to have or a backup or something. Because I have my Think Penguin Linux, but this is the primary computer that Donna's using. That's why one thing I asked is that if she were to run Qortal in the background, how much CPU or how much of the system's features being used that she can actually use it for her work while at the same time paralleling Qortal or not. I don't know. Can they both be on there and can they be used simultaneously? So that's my first question.
Yes, they can. And in fact, we just did an update that lowered the CPU usage pretty significantly. The next couple updates that we're doing are focused on improving performance to a massive degree. So until this point, right, I would have basically considered Qortal to be in a beta stage, right? It wasn't completely dialed in and everything. We're getting it all moving forward. Everything's good, but it's not perfect yet. Now, after these next few updates, we are going to dramatically improve the performance in all aspects. So we're at that stage now where we just did the CPU performance enhancements, and the next stage is to take it a step further and reduce the data usage by a huge margin and just make the overall performance of the system a lot better. So it'll only get better from this point on until we start adding like much more complex things. Then we'll make it modular so that you can still run it on lower spec systems. But you can, if you have a higher spec system, you can install certain other modules that will allow you to do other things. But that's way ahead of what we're doing now. So yes, it will run perfectly fine in the background on a system like this. You have 16 gigs of RAM here, which is more than enough. On a Windows machine, we recommend having 8 gigs of RAM, but that's not necessarily the absolute minimum. So we recommend having a little bit more than what the minimum actually is. And on Linux, of course, Linux uses much less overall system resources to run the same thing.
You are correct,
Windows,
sir.
Yeah.
So this is one thing I have about Windows. Anything. That's why when I ordered these, 16 was the most you could get. I'd probably expand it to 32, whatever. But I got these, for Donna. She's, banging her head on the computer all the time. And, I'm like, nope, we'll get whatever. So this is my back. I hardly ever use this. And it works pretty well, but it's Windows and it's always updating when you don't want. It's just a pain in the ass. So
right.
I don't use Windows if I can get away with it because screw them. All right. Now
I agree.
The thing is that I got RAM. I have 16 gigabytes, and it says 15.7 usable, which is they ripped me off a little bit so they can surveil me or whatever. So then I got device ID, doesn't matter, product ID. You guys all take notes and you can hack me or whatever.
So the processor and the RAM is really all you need to focus on, and of course the storage device. Now the storage device on this thing.
Does 32, 64-bit make a difference?
Yes, for Windows because of the installer. Now, as a general rule, no. Qortal will run on 32-bit or 64-bit, but because of the installers that we're using currently, 64-bit Windows is the only one that we support as far as Windows goes. So most people are running 64-bit stuff by this point, I would say. And so any computer that has a 64-bit operating system, Windows, should be able to run the installers and install it manually or install it easily.
Okay, the reason that's a thing, technology keeps changing. That's what they always, you go to Fry's Electronics kid and you say, and I go, well, how upgradable is this? And the components, show me the box if I get to change how easy it do a hard drive. Oh, yeah, it's upgradable forever and always. You can upgrade and you upgrade. You come back a year and a half later and go, well, I need to upgrade to hard drive. Oh, you got a motherboard of the, oh, my God, when we said you could upgrade whenever, we meant within 3-4 months. None of the, you come a year and a half later, that's so freaking, that's, horse and buggy technology there. So I'm going, man. So when you say upgradable and it kind of, and what time period? Because when you're old, a year and a half ain't squat. When you're 17 at Fry's Electronics, oh, that was so 3 months ago. So I just want to make sure we're clear on this. So the thing is that when things were going to 64-bit, what happened was the Raspberry Pis were 32, and they just went to 64-bit, going 8 RAM. So these Raspberries, are they... the 64-bit units, are they capable of running Qortal and do a whiz-bang job?
Yes, and actually, our kernel that we are currently running only runs 32-bit. So Qortal runs just fine on 32-bit, and in fact, we did performance tests versus 64-bit, and there was actually the 32-bit version that we're using runs a little better. So honestly, as far as any other system, it doesn't really matter. But for Windows specifically, just because of the installers, right? They're not compatible with 32-bit. So, but you can still make it work, but it's a little harder. Right?
Yeah,
so,
we don't want to make it anything. Windows can suck it anyway. All right, so we got, now what we're doing, are we leaving this, is Qortal running on Windows? We have to have the Windows installer just to get to the hard drive. Is it in the background? Is it dependent on the operating system of Windows to run Qortal, or is Qortal its own thing? What?
Okay, so yes, Qortal runs on whichever operating system you install it on. It's a Java virtual machine at the core, and then the UI is a Node.js JavaScript application, right? So there are two separate pieces to it.
Oh, hell, well, that made sense. What the hell does that mean?
There are two separate pieces. All the people really need to know is there are two separate pieces. The Qortal core, which is the main piece that talks to the blockchain, synchronizes the chain, so forth, that runs in the background all the time. So that'll run down on your taskbar. Once we're done with this installation, you'll see that. And once that's running, you just leave that running all the time. So I'll teach you a way to make that start up when the computer starts. And so you want the Qortal core to be running all the time. The Qortal core automatically updates by way of group signatures on the chain so that you don't have to update it anymore. Once you install it one time, as long as you keep it running, it will automatically update. So the Qortal core wants to run all the time. The Qortal UI you will run when you want to utilize Qortal. So if you want to go in and talk on QChat, or if you want to go in and make some transactions, you want to go into the trade portal and trade QORT for Litecoin or whatever, right? You use the UI, which is the user interface, to interface with Qortal. So you don't run the UI all the time. unless you're going to be using it all the time, right? So you want to only have the UI running when you're sitting in front of it, because that's what manages your account and all of the private information. Now,
but
the
does
UI
that run on the
core,
operating system of Microsoft?
Yes, it does. So it runs on whichever operating system you install it on, right?
Okay,
so
well, is
it's
that
an
a vulnerability? Do I need to be concerned about that? I mean, see, my thing is this. My focus is, everybody's privacy, and they're going to get my whatever, and I turn this computer on, they're getting it anyway. But my thing is publicity. I'm doing this so that I can have data that is out there, I can save, it's available to people. I'm not as concerned about privacy as I am publicity at this moment. But I do need to know that I'm interfacing through Windows. They're going to scrape and get whatever they can, and they're going to target Qortal as a threat of whatever the hell of something. What protections do I have?
So they can't really do anything that would scrape any data, stuff like that, because we're not they do that from websites, right? So they have trackers and stuff that you can get from websites.
They do it from wherever the hell they can do it.
I mean, the only thing is if you have, say, a computer that has a keylogger installed on it or something like that, they could potentially get your encryption passphrase, but that doesn't necessarily matter, because without your backup file and your encryption passphrase, there's nothing they can do to actually get into your account. So basically, it's as secure as it can possibly be. It's as secure as you can be on Windows, right? Of course, Linux is better, right? Yeah, I mean, Windows is the problem, right? So if you're worried about Windows security, this is as secure as you can get. Now, the UI and the core both have their own encryption engines. The UI does all the encryption, and it deals with your private account information, and it submits only signed transactions to the core. So there's no communication to the internet of anything that actually has any private information. So there's no real concern there. The only concern would be is if they somehow got a hold of your backup file and your encryption passphrase and knew that it was a Qortal backup file and knew your passphrase for that file, then they could get into your account. So, I mean, it's pretty unlikely.
So you're saying there's a chance.
I mean, there's always a chance, right?
Right. So we just need to know this going in. That's less of a concern, to my application, but, people need to know. And which is also, if you're running a Raspberry and it's on its whatever the hell they call it, their Linux version of whatever, and the operating system with that, then this Windows vulnerability is not a problem then, right?
Right, correct. Any other computer running, any operating system other than Windows is going to be better. Now, of course, Intel and AMD do have the hardware backdoors in the chips themselves, which is a whole other subject. But, if you're getting, super paranoid about all that stuff, the easiest way to avoid all that is to use hardware like anything that's ARM architecture, which is like the Raspberry Pi or the Rock Pi, things like that. And we're actually going to be building another device based off of the Rock Pi here in the near future too. So yeah, of course, open source devices, or as open as you can get, is going to be a lot better than using the ones that have known hardware vulnerabilities and so forth. And of course, you can go into the BIOS on some of these and disable those, like the Intel management engine and things like that, and go in and disable those and make it a little bit more secure on systems that do run those chips. But
did you feel it?
What's that?
My eyes glazing over?
Yeah, I know.
Starting to
Sorry.
feel it?
Yeah. I'll go in. Basically, Linux is more secure. Obviously, Linux is more secure.
So I just wanted, they're doing. Now, what about Apple? Do we care about Apple?
I mean, Apple's OS at a base level is better than Windows, in my opinion. So, I mean, but it's still a totally centralized OS, and they phase things out on purpose.
But you still can interface on a Mac.
It can, yes.
Okay.
Windows, Mac, Linux,
so
BSD,
we're kind of champion, getting on Linux. Get over it, get off of whatever you did it, but man, don't be a moron and get a Raspberry can this run on like they're doing the Pirate Stick at piratebox.info, where they have these 250 gig SSD drives and that kind of thing? Can this be installed that way?
Yeah, we will be having that kind of yes, you can do it. So if you had one of those things that just plugs in and boots up another operating system, it can be installed on there too. You can install it literally on basically any hardware. In fact,
I think Thomas Freeman did. He was communicating with me last night. I mean, I guess it's a thing. Nobody takes my Grandma Just Button seriously until I do something like this, and everybody sees it and they go, okay, we can make it a little better. I mean, and which is exactly what we're going to find out right now. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. What we're going to do now, Donna, the stream's going well. You can hear me. It's good. All right, we're ready to go. What we're going to go ahead and do is do an install on this HP Hewlett-Packard, and a corrupt relationship with Microsoft on you can't do anything they don't want you to do, and we're going to do it anyway. So if we can do it, we'll see. Because they won't allow you. You can't dual boot with Linux with an HP Microsoft. We figured that out years ago, and I had guys try it. You can do it, but you have to wipe the hard drive and do all kinds of stuff. What we found out is dual booting with an HP Microsoft computer with Linux was they did their best to make sure you can't do it. Now, I know Jason said, well, I could do it, you maroon. I'm going, yeah. Is it Grandma Just Button easy, or how many stroke dash forms I got to fill out?
Yeah. These days, I would assume that it wouldn't be that difficult. You get a, Ubuntu installer on a flash drive, plug it in, boot from that, have it install Ubuntu, and while you're in the installation process, it'll say, install alongside Windows, or, format the drive and install just Ubuntu. If you say install alongside Windows, it'll do that. Then it'll automatically, when it boots up, it'll have a selection, and you'll be able to choose from, Linux or Windows. And I don't know specifically on HP, but I've done it before on older HPs with no problem.
It was about 4 years ago. We went through this, and in the forum, I paid a guy a few $100, good friend of mine. He's not a computer geek. He's probably about me. If I sat there and read about it and ask questions and search and forum and whatever, figure it out. And it came to the point they go, no, they're making this intentional, that you can't dual boot with H. So you say, yeah, I can dual boot Windows. I go, HP? Have you done an HP with a Windows 10?
I have with older HPs, yeah.
Well, define
I don't understand why it would be.
I keep all these computer guys, sometimes older is over 3 months or older is over 3 years. I mean,
these ones are from like 2010, 2011, so significantly
that's too
older.
old. All right.
Yeah.
So this is, as I remember, this is a current thing, or certainly recently, that there is an effort to keep you from dual booting. They don't want, shocking. I mean, I know, but so we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. All right, we're going to start the timer here. Let's see, what do we got? All right, we're at 20. We'll say 6:30. We'll say 30 after the hour, and give you a minute or two for us BSing. All right, and go. What do I got to do?
All right, so you first, as a new user, will start by going to Qortal.org, which is where we are here now, and that's obviously quite simple for most people to go to a website. So you go to Qortal.org.
Don't assume anything. All right.
Right?
Qortal.
Okay, so from there, you go to Join at the top of the page.
Join.
Yep, just click Join.
I'm on. Now what? I am not pushing a damn button until you tell me to.
Click it. Yeah.
Click what?
Click Join.
Well, I did. It has a drop down. I mean,
well, no, you didn't click it. Now click it. Yeah, there you go. Now down.
See,
now scroll down.
I'm already lost. So I got to click. Even though, so usually when a drop down comes down,
right?
You go
okay,
down.
So
and click
join
the
and downloads. Join and downloads is the same link. So if you click Join, it takes you to downloads. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so just goes now. Scroll down.
All right.
So now we have, so the first link there is a guide on how to install on Windows. You don't need to worry about that.
I don't need to worry about it.
The second one here is the Qortal core, which we talked about. So the Qortal has two pieces, the core and the UI. So you're going to need both of those, the second and third download buttons.
Seriously, man, I'm already, when I come on here, link to Windows install guide on Qortal Wiki. Then it's Windows Qortal core, direct download of what? And then
the Qortal core.
Windows Qortal UI direct download, but there's not a click here first or download all three or only download this one or I'm grandma, man, I don't know.
Okay, well, that's what the guide is for. So if you don't know, you can click the download button there on the guide.
I don't know, so I'm clicking the download guide.
And it'll take you to the wiki, and it'll give you a step-by-step on what to do.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But since we know what we're doing, you can just go back to the page we were just on.
Since we know, you guys are killing me, man.
Well,
okay,
well, we're gonna walk through it as
All
if
right.
we know.
So
right?
on this guide, now let's go ahead and make this clear for the audience. Bear with me here. Now
Sure.
we're going to the Qortal, install Qortal on Windows instruction. This guide. Now what we're doing is we're going to bypass this guide, and I'm going to leave it up here in case we need to reference it. But Jason's going to be our guide, okay?
Exactly.
So that's what we're going to do. So we're bypassing the guide, but we're going to have this. So you might want to have this open if you're going to be doing this, and he's going to go ahead and walk us through. All right. In
Okay,
that
so
guide,
you need to...
it's going to say to download this Qortal Core, right?
Yes, and download the Qortal UI. So there's two installers, because there's two separate platforms that are Qortal. So Qortal is the Qortal Core and the Qortal UI. So we need both of those. So the Qortal Core and then the Qortal UI. So go down one more and go up a little bit. Yeah, right there.
And hit download there.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now I'm seeing down here, I'm getting one loading.
Yeah, Qortal.exe is the core installer. And I didn't realize the internet connection was that slow.
Hey man, I'm on a bus. You're lucky I got any.
Okay. Well, if it's actually going to take
55 minutes left, no, screw that. All right,
if it's actually going to take that long to download, then that might be an issue.
Yeah, no. Let me see if I can get it on, because let me see what we're on. I got several ways to get on. That's, if Donna's over there doing whatever. Okay, let me go ahead and put it on my. I got 5G and 3 bars, which don't mean nothing. This 5G thing is all BS, man. They're so full of crap.
I know. They're forcing me to upgrade a phone that has perfectly good hardware because I can no longer use the data connection outside of my house, which is great for a phone, right? So, yeah.
All right, go ahead and let it.
I wonder if this is going to disconnect it from the stream here when you switch connections.
Don't care. I'm going to, be using one. I could sit here and wait an hour to find out. All right. There we go. That connect. Okay, but we'll go ahead and showing everybody all my crap. So all my catapult channels of catapult.
So you should be able to click the little up arrow on those downloads and say retry or something.
Yeah, we'll go
resume. Try that.
Resume.
There we go.
Yeah, we're rocking. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Usually
it's going down. All right.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens there. So both of those, so those two installers is what you need. Generally, if you have a decent internet connection, it should only take a couple seconds to download. I mean,
wait. Decent. What is your connection? Do you have fiber optic?
Yes, I do.
So shut up, okay? God, you guys, it said, oh, well, I have fiber and you do. It's like, James Corbett. I'm going, how did you start it? Well, I moved into, Japan where they have free fiber optic or really cheap, and then I was able to do. I go, don't even talk to me about, what I can and can't do. You guys are on fiber optic, so suck it. But, here comes Starlink. And they may be able to make it we can put it on the bus, and it's getting mobile. So I'm like, all right. And I don't have to be a whining little bitch anymore. All right. So this is however long it takes. It's like 19 megabytes of 67, 20. It'll take a little bit, and then the other one will get in. So what are we doing right now? This is download to this. It may take a little bit because we got a slower out in the desert thing, but I just clicked 2 buttons, all right? So,
yeah, just download both of those files. Those are the installer packages for Windows. So basically, those are what everybody's used to when they're installing any application on Windows. It pops up, next, finish, and you have an installed program, right? So that's what these are. For Windows, we have installer packages for both the core and the UI, which makes it, very straightforward to install. Now, on Linux, the installation process is a little bit different, and we have guides for that. And same thing with
brain
Mac.
Damage. You do it on Linux, you got to open up the terminal and do the command code of the copy and paste of the freaking. I hate it. It's a pain in my ass.
We
I know way more about computers than I ever wanted to know. I just want you to know that.
Well, we will have installer packages. So right now we don't have an installer package for the Qortal core for Mac or Linux, but we will in the future have installer packages for the Qortal core for Mac and Linux. But right now we don't. But the process is quite straightforward. So
okay, so we're making progress. This is not as much brain damage as I've had in the past with other things, but
yeah,
so it's going pretty good here. We'll get it.
Yeah,
done.
Once the one finishes, the other one should start catching up.
Okay, so this is where whichever operating system and whatever. They finally come up with some kind of download ability of I click the button, and it was 2 buttons I clicked, it downloads, and then it's going to prompt me whether I want to install it or whatever, I would imagine, right?
Right. So, yeah, each of these is its own installer package, so you'll run one at a time. I always say to do the Qortal core installation first, but it really doesn't matter which one you install first. It does kind of matter which one you run first. So you want to run the Qortal core first. Let it do its thing. It'll pop up on your screen. It'll tell you what it's doing.
Well,
Once
which one
it's
is
done
which
with
down
that,
here? I can't tell. It says Qortal setup and Qortal.
Qortal.exe is the Qortal core, and Qortal setup is the UI, and that should actually say Qortal UI setup. But
so I want to install which one first.
It doesn't matter which one you install first. It more matters which one you run first. So if that one finishes first, you can go ahead and install that one first. It's fine.
All right. So I click on this file here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, once it's actually finished, yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay,
Check
so go more info. So this is great.
Doesn't want to do, and you're not allowed, and run
away.
So
this is Windows saying that basically they're not aware of our development team, so they don't trust us. So that's just nonsense. You can click more info there at the top.
Yeah.
And then click run anyway.
Run anyway.
Yeah.
Because screw you. Okay.
Okay. So now you can just click install. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to
install.
Change any of that. Click install. And uncheck the box because we don't want to run it right now. So just finish. So now you have the Qortal UI installed, and that other download has sped up significantly. So that's good. So we got a couple minutes left on that one. And
okay, now while this is doing this, let's go ahead and explain to people exactly what it is that we're doing to the computer right now. And talk to me like I'm 5th grade, okay?
Okay.
Because the 5th graders know more than me. Anyway, so go.
Basically, what you're doing is preparing your computer to become what we call a Qortal node, which just means that you have the Qortal software installed on the computer. It's a straightforward thing. You're literally just installing this application on your computer. And now Qortal is, of course, 2 applications. So you're installing 2 applications on the computer that make the overall Qortal platform, right? So the Qortal core is going to be the one that's going to run all the time. And I'll teach you how to set it up so it starts up automatically upon startup of the computer so that just stays running all the time. That keeps you connected to the blockchain, keeps you allowed to, do transactions, get files, do all the things that you can do on top of Qortal. And then the Qortal UI is the separate application that manages your accounts for you, allows you to, issue transactions, allows you to view websites, allows you to publish data, so forth. Everything that you can do on top of Qortal is done from within the UI. That's just how you interface with Qortal. So.
Okay, I want to see what my memory storage is here.
Go
right, where do I find that storage?
Yeah.
Okay, I have 290 gigabytes free. What's that going to do me?
That's totally fine. So we have made it so that the Qortal core, which is what's going to take the most storage space, is the full node. If you're running a full node, which is the default, right? If you're running the default, it will take roughly a maximum of 40 gigabytes, but it should keep itself in a range of 20 to 40 gigabytes. So what it does is once it gets to a certain point, it does this on a time basis. So it'll actually trim itself to stay in the 20 to 40 gigabyte range. So it should never really go much higher than that unless you are, specifically going to a lot of websites and so forth on top of Qortal and becoming peers for those, then that will add more data to the space that you're using, right? So,
so wait a minute. Okay, let's go ahead and define. I have 290 gigabytes, which is, I don't know, I remember in the 90s somebody had 2 gigabyte and we worshipped him like a god. But anyway, so now we got, 290 90 gigabytes, I could get external drives, I guess, if I wanted to, and beef up and kind of whatever. So 290 means I get to what? Store 290 of my data that I want to share. I need, some left over for me to, I guess, pen or store other files. What does 290 get me? How's it going to be used? Can I do with it?
So 20 to 40 of that will be the blockchain itself, right? So, and that will keep it in that range.
That's the whole blockchain for Qortal. And
right.
Now, how fast does that go up? People are adding all kinds of stuff. You're saying that you're hashing the data, and you're reducing, like compressing of the whole blockchain's never going to be over 100 gig, 50 years from now. I mean, what are you saying?
I mean, it will increase slowly over time, but I haven't actually measured. That's actually on one of our explorers, I think, and he's keeping track of how fast the database is growing and the overall storage size and so forth. But it hasn't really increased all that much in the past few months. We make it so that the blockchain itself doesn't grow all that quickly, right? We want to make sure that the blockchain, because the whole idea of Qortal is to make it so that everyone becomes a node. We want everyone to become a node, so we have to make it so that the blockchain stays a relatively decent size, so that it doesn't fill the entire computer with just the blockchain itself.
All right, Grandma here, Grandpa, same thing. What is the criteria that causes the blockchain to grow so much? Because I'll give you an example. I talked to. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, you can see me now. All right. This is my thing. When blockchain technology started coming out, and they're going, oh, yeah, we're putting the, books or movies or whatever on there in a 1 megabyte block on, Bitcoin, was an example. And I'm going, how in the hell are they, identifying, hashing, putting up a movie? I guarantee that's like a couple of gig, even compressed. How's that making it into a 1 megabyte thing? Or in the mempool of all these gazillions of transactions that they're doing, how are they keeping that 1 megabyte? Well, what they're doing is they're taking all this data and then they hash it to where it comes out with this long gobbledygook or whatever. And I guess that hash somehow represents a combination of a gazillion whatever the hell, is that it represents all the ones and zeros of the file itself. It's kind of like a blockchain zip file or something. How far off am I?
It's not really a zip file. It's more of a verification file.
But how does it get the data? Is it just verified data somewhere else, or is it actually storing the data?
The blockchain itself is not storing the data on Qortal. And it looks like your download might have paused or something, so we might want to check on that. I don't know what's going on there. Just click the up arrow there. Click pause and then resume, maybe.
Pause, resume.
I don't know what's going on there. Maybe... you won't be able to open it.
It didn't finish.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Looks like it just stops for some reason.
All right, you're going me to try it now. Which one is this?
You can just cancel it. You can cancel it because it looks like it's went stupid.
This is Core,
this is the Qortal Core. Yeah.
Okay.
Just try it again. See what happens. Or maybe your internet connection is not working.
You son of the man. They know we're doing. We're being free and stuff.
There we go. Okay. All right. There we go. And it looks like it's going pretty quick this time. Hopefully it will get through it. Yeah. So on Qortal, the data is not actually stored on the chain, and that's one of the problems, right, with a lot of the other data storage blockchains, right? And this was one of the problems with the Quora project, which was the project that we took the development over and we turned into Qortal. We basically rebuilt the whole thing and turned it into Qortal, right? They did that. They took and they actually put the data itself on the blockchain. Now, that's cool because that makes every single node into an automatic redundant copy for the data. However, not every single node is going to be able to store the entire internet, right? So it's just not scalable. So what we've done instead is to take that hash just verifies that file is what it says it is, right? That's it. You put that up on the blockchain, then it secures it too. So if anyone tries to modify that file, that hash will change. You can't modify the file unless you were the one who put it there, right? So it secures everything. So the data is still stored on the computer. Then it works similarly to like the torrent network. So if you have the file, then you're a peer for it. If someone else has the file, they're a peer for it. If someone else doesn't have the file, they're not a peer for it, right? So if they have the file, they viewed it, they have, followed it or viewed it, then they become a peer for it too. So it gets, bigger, faster, stronger as there are more peers. Just similarly to IPFS as well. This works the same kind of way as far as the peer
but that's a full
distribution
data.
goes.
When you're doing a blockchain, you're doing a verification that when they do find it, that it is this hash and it watermarks it, identifies it secure, that you're not going to get a virus when you pirate this movie or this game or whatever the hell. Which is
it's just verifying that file is the original file. That's
okay.
all.
Well, that's the blockchain is the verification of the file. Where do they get the file?
So you start, if you're the one who's publishing the data, right? Then you will have the first copy of the data. Then from that point, whoever views your content becomes another peer for it. So it just starts by you first, then whoever views it becomes a peer for it as well, or whoever follows you. So you have your name, your registered name. You publish data on that registered name. You become the first peer for that data. Anybody else who views it, anybody else who follows it, they become a peer for it too. And, of course, they can decide later that they want to delete it and not become a peer for it. But by default, if you view it or follow it, you become a peer for it. And,
for how long? Forever and always?
Forever, yeah. If you view it, you become a peer for that copy of the data. If you follow it, you become a peer for that copy and any future copy. So if you have a bunch of followers, right, and then you take and you update your data and you change a bunch of things, you make your website different, whatever, you add another thing to it, right? Then everybody who's following you automatically changes their data to follow your updates.
Okay, let's talk about this a second. This is something that I want to make sure we get this clear.
Yeah.
And we got, a minute for this to finish. All right. This was the goal, and, that I understood. It's not just that I can store my ones and zeros and that anybody can have access to it. The whole point behind the pirate box was to do exactly what you're talking about, to create these other nodes that somebody can follow somebody's IPFS, IPNS naming system, so that you're a fan of this show or Corbett and Highwire and Sam Tripoli's coming on and all this. We're all in this together. We're going, okay, we have an audience that wants James Corbett videos and documentaries to never go away. Okay, and I'm willing to give up storage on my Raspberry SSD pirate sticky old computer of whatever the hell, okay, or one microsucks HP I never use. I am willing to take and put all of their stuff, which could be like Freedom's Phoenix, it's like, 600 gig or some ridiculous thing. But, a lot of these things, they go, yeah, I got a terabyte, I got a 2 terabyte drive. I'll do the Liberty Community. We call it the Liberty Library, that we'd have selected people that we want to make sure that they are saved, okay? When we do that, we go, all right, we're going to take all that and we're going to put it up on my hard drive on my computer to make that file available. Now, what I wanted for it to make it go faster is I wanted to be able to have, fans and supporters and, tech geeks that just want to prove you can do it, that they would subscribe to the Qortal page of James Corbett or Declare Your Independence or whatever. I subscribe. Any and every new thing that he puts up automatically gets saved onto my node, which makes the system go fast for that subscription. True or false?
Yes, true. Yes.
Okay.
That is what Qortal does by default.
This is it. Now, the problem that we have at the moment, that's a temporary thing with, let's go ahead and see if this will.
Yeah, go ahead and run that. It's just another installer, next, finish.
Do I right-click it or?
Well, either way, just, open.
Open. Come on. Opening.
Yeah, do the same thing here. More info,
run anyway. It's like Dr. Fauci trying to warn me about something. You do the opposite, they say. Anyway,
yeah.
So the whole thing is I want to be able to store the data, make it accessible, make it go faster without having an Amazon server farm, and that this is Yeah. Next. I totally agree.
Yep,
All
that's
right.
it. Just default location's
custom
fine.
data storage folder or no?
If you want to, but the default's fine.
All right, default. Yes, configure Windows to use Internet time servers recommended
that's
for
recommended,
some reason. Cause
it's just to keep your time in sync. Yeah.
All right, install.
That's it. Yeah.
Boom. All right, so the most time we probably had in this whole process was
downloading.
Was downloading it. All right.
Yeah.
So he goes, 10 minutes. I go, oh, you're assuming fiber optic. Oh, you're one of them. Okay. So let's see. Publish on node hard drive. I'm a yesin. I totally agree.
What's that?
Oh, I got it. Now, do you want to allow this app from unknown publisher to make? Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
You got. I don't see that screen, so yeah.
Well,
okay.
that's.
It's that's called user account control, and I have that disabled on any of my Windows computers because it's annoying.
It's annoying. Okay, so now we have with Qortal, I'm able to, because that's an IPFS. You can pin a file, but you got to go through that, and see, I got to be pushing buttons here.
Yep, you're good. That's it. Now you're good. So now what we want to do
while you're
talking.
Let me finish this point.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
On IPFS, the whole point is that I have to go out and pin that file. I'm going, absolutely, this documentary, James, this one of, Grand Theft World, this one, Tim Pool, this one, wrote this one, okay? And I have that on my machine, but I can't go and subscribe to their feed and it automatically pin all the new content from that channel. What Qortal is allowing is for me to do that. Right?
Yes.
So every time I have a Qortal channel and I add something, that's automatically, assuming somebody sets their machine that way, that any new documentary a content provider puts up is going to be copied over. Now, the only problem I can see is IPFS. If you got the server space for it, we have a server for it. It doesn't have a limit on how large that file is. It has a limit on how many people want to download that large file. But, on my show, I compress these down in, a couple of hours. I can get it down to, 100, 130 megabyte for a full MP4 video. Kind of compressed. It's not super, HD, 8K kind of crap. But, it's watchable, it's cool, and that's what we want to demonstrate. But if I'm doing that on IPFS, that's just one guy. You're following one guy. You subscribe to like a YouTube thing. Well, they're storing it. It's on their servers. Google's, doing you a solid and tracking you and doing whatever. If you start using the cloud on Amazon, they can turn you off whenever they want to. So if I'm doing it on my own node, what is my capacity? You buy the Pirate Box, piratebox.info, and what options do you have? Well, you got SSD drives, you get bigger SSD drives. Embassy, you get the Raspberry Pi 4, 64-bit with their, whiz-bang 8 RAM of, oh my God. But, you get a little terabyte postage stamp SD card, but, those don't, last forever. But if you get like a 2 terabyte external drive with a 3.0 USB connection, you put it in there, you got something. But it's still only a couple of terabytes. And when you're doing a bunch of video of everything on a site, that's a lot of storage. So I'm looking at Qortal. You can do the same kind of thing, but there are limits of how large the file can be at this time. Is that a limit on storage or just each individual file?
It's a limit right now on the overall capacity of each registered name, and that's only because of the way the data is currently handled when it gets published. The chain itself has no limit on data, and soon enough we will remove that limit. So it's just because right now we put the data into memory before we publish it, so we didn't want to have too much going into memory. So we have a limit right now of 512 megabytes, right? So 500 megabytes essentially. So each name can only have that on it right now. That limit will be removed in the near future.
Okay,
so,
now that's not a full page or a web page of someone. You're talking about individual files on that page.
No, the entire name.
Okay, so the entire.
Because when you're publishing on Qortal, you publish the entire page at once. Then if you're changing files, you can publish the entire thing again with just certain files changed, and it'll know which files need to be changed and change only those.
Okay,
right?
I got a good example to help people understand. Let me do this because I want to make this point. How do I add a page?
Put a little plus thing on the top.
Yeah, but that thing's in the way. There we go. Okay. This is something early on when we first started doing Freedom's Phoenix. And Freedom's Phoenix, I want to make this point, and then you'll understand why. All right. Now, Freedom's Phoenix, this front page is when it goes to your database, it pulls up and it goes all the headlines, all the summaries, all of the date information, all the graphics, all the links or whatever to build this page. That's how originally it was when we first started doing this. And, of course, that's, techno webmaster geek guys. So when they were doing this, when we started getting popular during the Levolution 08, 09, all of a sudden it was crashing our servers all the time because it was accessing the database to build the page. Every time somebody clicked on freedomsphoenix.com, boom, it's going through the database and pulling all this information up, and it was crashing the servers. But when we do our email dispatch, that looks kind of like the Ann archives. Let's see. Where it's at. So we go down to when we do our email dispatch a couple of times a day, we send this out, and it's 30, 40, whatever. So here it is. It's the latest one that we just sent out. Now, this gets formatted into your email. It has all the stories, and then you see each one of the stories and so on. Now, when you go and you click on this is a PDF in your email. It's not accessing the drive. It does a little bit, to kind of, if I change it there, it'll change it in your email, some magic geek stuff. But what it is an interactive PDF. So if I do it on the front page, and I'm going to the front page of Freedom's Phoenix, I'm not downloading every single one of these headlines, then every single one of the summaries, then building the graphics. What I'm downloading, I hope, and what I thought, is a PDF that's a display. It is an interactive PDF that has a bunch of links on it. So I'm just uploading a single file with links that accesses the database as opposed to it going to a database and building a page every time. You understand my point?
Yeah.
Okay, so, that's, as I understand it, which helped us have it a lot better. So now I'm looking at, with Qortal, when I do this, if I'm doing up a page and you're saying I am uploading all the new stuff, like another story to this, and recreating that interactive kind of reference to links, or is it querying a database and building it?
Okay, so what you're doing is you're publishing static data. So you'll create, you could take this website that you have here now and convert it into static files. Then you zip those static files and you publish them on Qortal. All it's doing is hashing the files and saving those hashes on Qortal and making you appear for that data, right? Then anybody else who grabs it from you grabs that data, then it's encrypted on the back end. It gets decrypted when they grab it, and then it gets built and shown to them. It's just a website. There's no it's not like the same thing as a web server, because the web server has the database like you're talking about, and it's accessing that. It's not like that because it's static files, right? So it's not built like a web server. It's built just to display those static files, right?
Okay, so it displays it. So it's kind of like an interactive PDF.
Yeah, you could say it like that. It's just static.
Yes,
website.
I can, but you guys get all geeky on me, and so it's a static, as opposed to dynamic means it changes and it feeds in from. Never, and a static is just it's all there, and it's reference to links of whatever you're looking at.
Right. Static content means you put that content up. That's what people are going to see. No matter who accesses it, they're going to see the same thing. Dynamic is where each individual user can have customized things and so forth. I'm trying
to keep it dumbed down for me. Maybe I explained it wrong, but that's how I understood it. So what you're saying is that I got a static file as opposed to a dynamic on the front, which to me, the way I describe it, is like having an interactive PDF, which has active links in it, and you can build it, and it comes out, and that's what it does, and there it is. It's static. Because when you remake the page, when I go in if I was to show you the back end on Freedom's Phoenix, it would give me the opportunity to remake the page. And what it does is it takes all those dynamic links and builds an image of it that's interactive, which is kind of what you're talking about.
Right. That's what we could do that with your website with a few different things. There are static site generators. Basically, it takes and it'll go and it'll grab as much data as you tell it to grab. Then it'll make that into an archive, and that archive has all of that data. Then you can take that archive and publish that on Qortal.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do, because I think my experience is that it's much more efficient, it goes faster, and it doesn't query the database as much and crash it.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's no database to query in this case.
Well, see, that's how I'm wondering how it's displaying.
Right. It's pulling the files from your local machine. So it'll grab those files from any other peer, then it pulls them to your machine, builds them, and displays them.
That seems kind of dynamic. It seems like a lot of processing and memory. Can it be if is there an option or a goal, or am I just blowing out my butt that I take and create the front page like I was talking about with all the hyperlinks and everything of those pages, and then that's what's displayed, and they're just clicking on the link.
Right, it's a website. Yeah, it's a website. Then, and once they've built it once, if there's you make a bunch of changes, then it only has to change those specific files, and then so it'll be much quicker if it's rebuilt.
Well, see, this is my point. When I do this graphic, links to the article. This headline links to the article.
Yeah, one thing you have to remember:
all kinds of different stuff.
On Qortal, we cannot link to the internet. If you're posting files on QDN, they're only on QDN. You cannot link to the internet.
No, I understand. Okay, let me go and walk this through. When I click on Donald Trump is back on Twitter, like I care. So I go, all right. So I go here. This is on my Qortal site. This is the mid-page summary of whatever I posted on there. It might be most of it or not. Now, if I go offline and I'm going to go, out to the internet, that's a whole nother thing. Okay. So I understand that. Now, this is something that I asked Mike Winter, and one thing that Thomas is interested, he's listening, he's probably telegramming me right now about it, is that can there be an external link from files or links that I have in Qortal that will open up a page onto the World Wide Web? Now, what Mike showed me is there were hyperlinks or links, and he said you could copy, and he showed me, I clicked on it and it went outside of Qortal. I'm going, well, you can do it or you can't do it. So what are you saying? And explain it to me.
If that was possible, it's not supposed to be. That we have what's called a sandbox, and it's supposed to keep any outside data from being able to be linked from within.
So it's not a capability thing, it's a choice thing.
Yeah, if you have a link there and you want to go to that link, you can copy it and go to it if you want to. But we want to make a completely separate network so that we are not reliant on the internet.
Well, he was saying something about that. He goes, you can copy this, you can post a link, but it's not hyperlinked. Then you copy it into your other browser on the, and you go in your dual boot of whatever the hell.
Right.
Okay. All right. So
all of the data on the website itself needs to be on QDN.
Yeah, there were links that he hit and it went to, but I guess that is if it's a link to another Qortal page, then
we can't do that yet. So if it was a link that he showed, it's because we need to change some things. That wasn't supposed to be possible.
Well, I can't remember. I asked that thing. I just remember. Well, I have it's in the video. That's one thing.
Okay, yeah, I'll look at it and see.
Because Thomas was saying it was in the last 20% of the show.
You can put all the files you want on top of QDN and link to those. And when we release Q apps, you will be able to link to other people's names and so forth and get data like that. But you're not supposed to be able to link.
Well, this is the very thing that Thomas was on. No, you can't do that. I go, I don't know, man. I remember there was some link that I got linked to some link. I mean, I don't know what the hell it was.
I mean, it could have been a link to a file that was on that site.
Okay, well, that's that may very well been it. All right. So we'll return to that someday. Okay, so now I got.
Now you have both
Where do I need to go?
Yeah, you have both applications installed. So now if you click your start button there, you should see that you have 2 new applications installed. There we go. Recently added at the top
up here. Okay.
So run Qortal. Yep, that's the Qortal course. So Qortal is the one that you want to be running all the time. So you'll run that, and it will pop up like this. And It's going to download the Bootstrap, which is going to take a while. We're probably not going to be able to finish this.
Bootstrap.
Yeah.
I keep hearing Bootstrap. People are talking about Bootstrap. What the hell's a Bootstrap?
Okay, so basically, this is just a copy of the blockchain so that you don't have to synchronize from block 0, which would take you, at this point, probably a whole month to synchronize from block 0 to where we are today. So what we have is a set of community servers that manage the Bootstrap and have a new version that's created from the API. So it's not people that are creating it. It's literally created from within Qortal with an API call, and that is then downloaded. So you download a copy of the chain that is, more up to date. Then you start from that instead of.
So this is kind of like a zip file that then I open onto my computer and then I start adding to that.
Right, correct. It's basically an archived copy of the blockchain, so that you don't have to.
And how is that
synchronize from block
archived?
0.
Is that they using a Merkle root thing or an algorithm or a hash?
It's done with the Qortal API. The Qortal API creates the Bootstrap.
Yeah,
so
I know, but I mean, how?
Yeah. It's just compressed.
It's a compression thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 7-zip. It creates a 7-zip file of the blockchain that then you download, and it'll also extract it. So once it's done downloading here, and which is going to take a while, we're not going to be able to do this all on the call.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me how much. What is the size of these? What are we looking at? We had a couple hundred megabytes on one, a couple.
Yeah, though the installers you can delete now. So if you want to go and delete those installers, you can do that because you don't need those anymore. So just you can click the little arrow there. Click the little arrow.
Maybe I do, and maybe I don't.
Go in folder. Yeah. I mean, if you want to keep them, you can keep them, but we're constantly releasing new versions and stuff. So
well, it's not
that one. That was a canceled one, so you have to do the other one.
Okay. Show in folder.
Yeah. And then, so if you want to keep them, you can keep them, but we're constantly releasing new versions, so you can delete both of those.
Undo both of these?
Yeah, you don't need them anymore.
I'm hitting a delete. Are you sure?
That's it. And then, so now you have 2 applications installed on your computer. You have Qortal and the Qortal UI. So
now where is it? Where am I? Oh, it's down here.
Yeah. So you just have to wait for that to finish. I didn't really think about the bootstrapping process.
Yeah, you didn't think about us out here in the hinterlands of the desert of not fiber.
Right. So
see, that's one thing.
This will probably take you an hour or 2 hours,
really?
maybe.
Okay, well we'll go in
for the first time. So this only needs to happen the first time. Once the Bootstrap is downloaded, and then it starts up in a couple seconds. So it's just the very first startup that you need to download.
So
the
far this has been pretty easy. I went onto the website, and am I on a website here? Do I care? Nah, screw it. So I go onto the website and I pull out. Here we go. I go on the website. I download Windows Qortal Core for a Windows machine, Windows Qortal User Interface UI. Download those, run them. It's like any other Windows installer. It just blah blah blah. Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. I understand they're bad guys. You haven't laid hands on them. You haven't knighted them with a sword. And I'm pushing here, knowing full well that I don't give a crap what you guys say anyway. So I go ahead and I get Qortal installed. Then I got to sync it with the blockchain, which is all this time it's still like 4%. So, okay. So this does that. What am I doing now? This is going to load up Qortal to do what?
So this is starting the Qortal core, which is making this computer into a node on the blockchain, right? So once this Qortal core is running, then you are a peer for the Qortal network. So now you will be synchronizing your node with all of the other nodes on the network and making sure that your blockchain is up to date. And that is what the Qortal core does. It also gives you the access to QDN, which is the Qortal data network. It gives you access to the trade portal, which is the ability to cross-chain trade with multiple coins.
Yeah, in what way? I mean, where's the interface? Is it a browser? Is it a
the Qortal user interface?
An app? What?
The Qortal user interface is how you interface with it. So this is just the core. It runs in the background. You don't need to worry about it.
I understand. I just, what I'm building up to is that I get this done and it's installed. Yes, you're in, you win, you kind of did, and now what? I'm feeling some Grandma Just buttons coming still. So I get
no.
Am I be able to load a file? You're saying, hey, you can just load your whole web page, yeah? What?
Well,
from where?
Yeah, we can get to that later because you're going to have the node running first, and this is going to take a pretty decent amount of time.
Now what we're going to do, well, we may not, finish it right now. We'll have a part 2 later or something. You're going to have to sit there and watch it. But what we're going to do is because Freedom's Phoenix is, 20 years of, oh my God. So Pirates Without Borders is probably, is there a way to see how large your site is?
The only way that I know to do it is to use a static site generator like SiteSucker on Mac or HTTRack on Windows or Linux, and actually try to download the site. And then it really depends on the settings that you set for that to figure out how much you want, because you can go through each individual link and download all of those files too. So it really depends on a lot of different things. But if you do that, then you can get a rough idea of how big that site is, right?
Well, it's a lot of this, these different categories. The whole point was from Freedom's Phoenix. When I'm using Freedom's Phoenix, what I'm doing is I go through, and if I'm logged in, all right, I'll go ahead and log in because I want hopefully it's not going to show my whatever. All right, let me do this because I don't trust it. Now, Drew was telling me that it echoes when I put my picture up, so just give me a second here. Let me log in so you guys aren't seeing everything. How I forget. Damn machine's so different. Okay. Now, when I log in, I get in the back end. I just show you this is how I interface with Freedom's Phoenix. And, yeah, it's downloading the Bootstrap, so me doing this is not going to make it go any faster. Right, so this is my back end of yada, yada, yada. Now, when I'm logged in, I get my custom program module, I'm in my custom module, to where I can do my custom links and, my research and all that kind of stuff. Now, when I go on, you'll see these windows. Let me find some tech here. All right. World's first solar-powered camper van. Now, I'm going to put this in home, energy, shelter, and transportation. When I do that, I have special editions that we have. They're just like the front page, different special editions. But we also, these categories that I click here is what goes to this. So when I go into energy, or let's put like transportation, I go into the transportation category, technology that decentralizes down to the individual, and it's some tech. There it is. World's first solar-powered camper van, which was very cool, by the way. So, that's a cool thing. You guys go check it out. So I put that in there. Well, there's a bunch of these, hundreds, thousands of these. When I take from Freedom's Phoenix any tech that empowers the individual, decentralizes down to the individual, or at least to the family, small community. So we put all that stuff in on this category, transportation. Well, that can go. I don't know how much this is. I hit more, and it's like, oh, my God, a whole bunch more. So I'm just going, this is a lot of data. I don't know how much this is. You So when I go into, the article, they'll have the article and the links to whatever. That's going to take up some space. So what is the limit? You're saying the limit is what of this whole interactive web page on Qortal?
So at the very moment, which won't be forever, right? It's not going to be that much longer before we get rid of these limits. But at the very moment, each name, so each namespace on Qortal can only have 500 megabytes published at once. So that's the entire site, 500 megabytes. So you can use multiple different names and use them for different purposes right now. But we will be removing those limits in the future. So, and we will also, with Q apps, the next addition to QDN, it'll allow people to build things like YouTube replacements and stuff like that, where you don't have to do this. The websites portion is basically meant to be for websites, right? So when we get to Q apps, you'll be able to do things like what you're doing here and have a lot more flexibility with what you can do on top of Qortal. Right now, the limitations are 500 megabytes, static website, right? So using what we have now, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do these kinds of things. You can publish it and you can update it, but you need to think of it more as like this is going to be in the future. You'll be able to do a lot more on top of QDN. With Q apps, we'll have APIs that will allow you to do all kinds of different things, cross-communication between multiple names, publishing multiple things that people can view in a single location, all kinds of different stuff. So replacing things like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of that functionality will be possible. So at the moment, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and it's going to be something that, yes, 500 megabytes, a single static website on a name. Now you can register as many names as you want and get as many accounts as you want and use 500 megabytes as many times as you want, but it's still going to be a little bit more difficult at this point.
Okay, it's locked up on 6.3%.
Yeah, your net connection here is it might not be actually locked up, because if it were, it would say it failed and it would try to start again. So, but it should automate itself and get it all the way through this process. I think if the less we're using the internet at this time, we'll probably be better.
We're sucking it up, just you and I yakking. But so this seemed to be, I mean, other than the bandwidth issue, it seemed to be pretty easy. I put in the user interface and the core thing, but what I really like to do is, after we get this, let's go ahead and not just waste time here when we're making progress. I need this to download anyway, but we'll set another time, add to this. Now this is enough for the people that are watching the stream and
to
we're doing
get
the recording.
Started.
Yeah, to get started and put it on there. Now once Bootstrap gets up and it's done, then I have the data, the blockchain on here. Then there's going to be some interface with it. But this is the main thing that I want the people to understand what's important to me. What's important to me is either I can or I cannot load up data that I have access to. It's on my machine. You know, I got it all organized, just like you see me using, Freedom's Phoenix to go to, Pirates to be able to interface. Now, if we can do some kind of interface like I do from my desktop and the back end on Freedom's Phoenix, and it go to not only World Wide Web interface to add it dynamically to those categories of things that I highlight, and get an API that goes into my Qortal that I can get the same kind of update, or it pulls from, or do I got to reload it every time? Can I update my own web page from an interface with Freedom's Phoenix like I showed you I did?
We will be able to do things like that with the new APIs that we're adding, but not right now. Right now, I mean, you could probably interface with the API and make it publish data, but that's going to require a little bit of effort on your end. I mean, your developers could probably do it, but it would be something that would take a little bit of work.
Well, I can tell you the use case for that, why that's such a big deal, and here's why. When we set this up with James Corbett and we started doing the interface with IPFS, his main concern was using WordPress. He had dynamic interface live chats with his Corbetteers. Okay, so he's like, I'm doing a live interface with them, and I want to be able to maintain a live interaction. Well, IPFS doesn't do that. Does Qortal? When I do, Qortal comes in and they're accessing a web page where it's got a chat room or it's got, whatever the hell, are they able to do that? You see my point?
Yeah, we will be able to do things like that. At the moment, not really. It's static websites only at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, but that's kind of the goal, right? I mean, that's
right.
On the list.
The goal is to be able to do everything. Right.
Okay.
And so then the addition of QApps will allow a ton more functionality. So most of the things that you're talking about right now will be possible once QApps is there. People will then need to be able to, or will then need to develop applications that can do these things on top of Qortal, right? So it's not just like, oh, we have the functionality, then these applications magically exist. We are going to start by building a demo application of probably a video hosting platform and a blog. And then from there, people can take those and modify them, or they can, look at what we did and build their own applications that do whatever they want, right?
Well, this is a good example. What I do is you go to, our show. There's Jason Crowe, today's show. You scroll down to the bottom of the archive, and you'll see, the Love Bus picture, and that's where I'm sitting, right in that chair right there. So right above that, you'll see these IPFS, IPNS, which is the naming system, which is kind of like a list of the IPFS files, So when I just clicked on Corbett, boom, there it is. Now, this is the problem. This is dated, what is this? This is February, the last time. His entire site is backed up, all documentaries, everything, to mid-February, because we have to manually do it. Now, it does this automatically. We just click a button, Derek does, it goes click. Now it adds all the new content to this, and it's an HTML display of whatever with the new content. So, but you have to manually do it. What I want is to have, like Qortal, when I do this and I add something to it, it automatically, just puts it in. It adds it to the top of it. It pushes it down. Then anybody that subscribes to the Corbett page, they go, and I want all his new stuff to go up, and I'll mirror and give me, and it goes, we're an internet 3-point thing, kiss my butt, and we're done. You're saying that is or is not possible or will be.
Well, okay, so the data, if you change the data, anyone who follows that data will automatically get the changes. So that's already a thing. But as far as publishing the data right now, the only way you can do that is to take the entire site, zip it into a zip file, then publish that zip file, right? So, and if you publish the same files again, it will know that they're the same files and it won't try to publish them again. It'll just publish the changed files. But yes, that's what you have to do at the moment. But with the addition of QApps, a ton more will be possible, and a lot of that will not
Okay, now
be,
this is. Now, I'm glad I'm talking.
So, yeah.
This is the time to talk about this right now. Okay, let's go ahead and wipe our brains clean here. Let me show you. You'll see what I mean. I go to the front page, and when I'm logged in, okay, crap, it's going to make me log in again. Okay, so I log in, and when I log in, let me do this so they don't get to see. Okay. So when I log in and I use my interface on my site to add, now this is exactly what Corbett was looking for and why he's not totally embraced this kind of stuff. He is. I mean, he's supportive and, we're doing it and pimping it and whatever. But his use case, his workflow is going to have to be something like this. Now, here's all, the stories and, the backup, a bunch of radio and shows and whatever, and then I manage the site from there, and I go into, edit front page, and when I go into there, I have several different options. Now, when I have staff that puts up the stories, they'll have a 0 on it here, so I'll go in there and I'll put, a 1, a 2, of whatever, and say, okay, a 1 to send it to the front page. On the front page, the higher the number, the further up it goes, unless I change the time on it, which I'll show you. So this interface where it says top, you'll see some of these checked. Well, these checked, it's like that world's first solar-powered, this is top tech news. So that was one way that I can interface and put into that category of top tech news. Now I'll show you what that means. On the front page, how it displays for me is that top tech news is its own category over here. It's all the tech stuff. They're all interested in the tech and whatever. Then there's categories for the tech, and why it's got, entertainment, outdoor recreation. That's what they put it in, so whatever. So I go edit. If I was to change that, or I wanted to outside, do something, I'll put in, it's kind of a sheltery thing. Yeah, I got all these categories that I can do. See what I got. Shelter, home, whatever, doesn't matter. So they got it under entertainment, outdoor recreation. There's all these fields that I put in, and then, of course, the word processing and the graphic. Now, in here, I can specify something. I could have a little button right there and publish to Qortal. Maybe I don't want to publish everything to Qortal. Maybe I do, but this is where James is at. James goes in, does his WordPress, puts it up, builds up his site, and then now I got to do it again. I got to load it up to another web page. I got to watch spinning wheels for the video that's going up on BitChute. Then I got to do Minds. Then I got to do Odyssey. Then I got to do YouTube. Then I got to do. Well, he's like, what the hell? So we're working with Matt Raymer over at ContentSafe.co. So he'll take my stuff and he'll puts it on, One Great Network. He puts it on, BitChute. He puts it on, puts it on. And I'm like, hell yeah, I don't want to do that brain damage. Well, this is what James is trying to get away from too. So on here, when we enter this in and we put, the content, there's the iframe for the video and the graphic and all that kind of stuff. And then I go proofread entry. Then that's what it's going to look like on the front page link. That's what it's going to look like on the mid page. There's the embed of the video. OK to enter. Boom. And then I do that. Yeah, I don't want to cancel that. I don't want to change it. So I go, all right, that's how I interface with it. I need some kind of an API or even take an RSS feed or something to where when I'm working on the back end, just like I can interface with Pirates Without Borders by just clicking one of these boxes down here, that I have one more box. Let me see. I think this is the browser, setting on here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, right here it says social. See that right there? I click social. That button was set aside for exactly this kind of thing. That by me designating that story that I want it to go on to Qortal, or all of them do, or however I want to do it, is there a script or interface or capability of me being able to manage my site and be able to update my Qortal anytime I do that? Because that is what James is looking for.
So we have the API that you can use to publish data, right? But in the future, we'll have much more extensive APIs that will allow you to do all kinds of different things. And the applications that get built on top of it are up to the people, right? So it's really like we can build pretty much anything that you want, but it's going to take a little time and development.
No, I'm
hip.
I just want to make sure, because I get like with IPFS, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. I'm like,
we're aiming to replace the internet. So we're aiming to be able to do anything that most people do on the internet. Now it's going to work a little differently, right? But it's not going to be exactly the same thing as you're used to. But we can do things that will do the same thing slightly differently and get the same results, right? And so we're looking to be able to replace the entire internet. In order to do that, we have to be able to have all of the functionality that anybody wants to use and see and be able to do, right? So yes, we will be able to do things like that. At the moment, you can interface with the Qortal API and you can do everything that the UI does with the API, but it's going to be a little bit of, development to make that stuff happen. And a lot of like the intricate things that you're talking about and doing all of the things you're talking about right now, not necessarily easily done right at the moment, right?
Okay, no, I'm as long as it's on the radar screen, I'm good. You got that. I just want to make sure people understand. You start paying attention because this is evolving into how we take back everything, and the man can suck it. So I got to wait a month or two or a year. I'm good, okay? But I want to see progress. And the reason that we're doing this is because we're at such an early stage that to be supportive of this goal is why I'm loading the Bootstrap and putting this in for me to be able to interface with it. And we haven't got into the earning quartz yet, the reward for this. We'll get to that in a second. Now, this is a good example. When I load up the shows, you go in here and you look in here, you go, there's a bunch of the shows that we got today. So we're having, a bunch of guys coming on. Today's a busy day. So I was trying to freaking not be so busy this week but good stuff's happening. We need to do it. So I go in here and I say, all right, I got the show, and I click to the, let me just do it over here. Screw this. Stop that. Do that. So when I go into the show here and I say, all right, I got a show, I click on into the show, and I'm pulling that up. I have, let's see, we do one that's already loaded. This one. Okay, so I got the IPFS, the MP4 of the IPFS is right here. Okay, I got this loaded up. I want that to be included into when I do my Qortal thing, and I need to be able to click somewhere that this file and it's on the Qortal, it's accessible on the Qortal. I click a button, it's ready to go over on the Qortal, and that interface you're saying I can do somewhere. Now this is IPFS. This, all of my files, this is on a list that I have that just serve the network with an embed on my page here, but it's IPFS. So that means that it can't be deleted. It's always accessible, and it's uncensored. So but it's slower, and I need the noting that what Qortal is already doing now. and I need to be able to have people, when they download it or they subscribe to this list, that would look like this. When you got this list and they subscribe to this page, it automatically takes those videos or those files and puts onto their machine, that then makes the whole experience with the subscribing to a site go fast because they're pinning the files.
Right.
Okay, so that's what you're looking towards, right?
Yeah, that's what we already do. If you have a website and you change any files on that website, everyone who has you on follow, which is what we call it, follow, automatically gets those changes, right? So that part's already done. The other parts, the like adding the more complexity to it and being able to like, share things here and there and so forth, that's going to be added in with the QApps edition and like later add-ons that we're adding into it, right? So
okay,
right now,
I just wanted to make sure you understand my use case.
Yes,
we're getting
totally.
to where
Right now we
be.
have that. What you want already, like having somebody be able to subscribe to your name and have whatever data you publish gets automatically changed on every single node that follows you.
Right here. Yeah,
That's what we do already.
I go like this. I go www.declare your independence with Ernest too long a URL Hancock.com. Okay, so this just forwards to a special edition here. If I get people to subscribe to that, boom. They put it in, it opens up, boom, there it is. This is the page. If I take this for just the radio show and I put it on to Qortal and they subscribe to that, they're going to automatically get the update of any new stuff that's put up there. But I need to have an API from this page when I do add this stuff every day, that it automatically goes to Qortal and I'm not sitting there brain damage.
That's a separate application that just needs to be developed to do that part, right? And we can do that on Qortal
as a QApp. Is it even on the list to do?
Not at the moment.
It better get on there. That's the whole point. The reason why I want to do this.
The base level functionality is getting there. Yeah, like that's what we're trying to get to, is to have like a lot more. Like the websites plugin that we have now and the way that everything is now is meant to just be for static websites. That they get updates, but they don't get updates like all the time, continually with stuff like this. So that's going to be the QApps edition is going to allow.
Okay, now let me tell you why this is so important, not just to me, or other content providers, to you, because. Right. What makes it useful? Content providers of people, big names. Woo! Joe Rogan wants to. You bring Corbett over. Here's a big name for you. It's a. Oh my God! Corbett's on Qortal. Okay, you do that. What happens? They're all over it. That's what the IPFS thing is all about anyway. That's why we're doing this, is to be able to save these files not only by it's saved on Qortal. It's that people can subscribe to the page on Qortal, and then they are a node.
Right.
They have the copy. It goes fast. This is the whole point of our IPFS project from the beginning. This is the application. So I need you to have a special meeting with the guys of meeting around, of you sitting campfire meeting, of what the hell. This is exactly why I wanted to use Qortal. If you're not doing this, then what the hell am I coming over for?
Yeah, we do that already. Like as far as if somebody subscribes to your name and you publish a change, that change gets changed on every single node that follows you automatically. Okay. So that part's good. That part's done. But it's just like the other complex stuff is not quite there yet. So
what you're saying is the updating of that file that they're going to subscribe to automatically, you're saying I got to go through brain damage of clicking and waiting to something. Well,
you could make something that automatically, zips a new copy of the site, and then you have that zip and you publish it on Qortal. And that wouldn't be too difficult to do. But you have to, at the moment, take the entire site, zip it, publish it, right? So in the future with QApps, we'll be able to have things like video hosting platforms where you could just have a video hosting platform and then you could update in each individual video, right? And so people will be able to follow that, and that'll be different, right? So, but we're not quite to that point yet.
Okay, now this is where I do this very thing that you're talking about. When I do all this and I make the changes and I move around and I go, I need to update the front page. Now it does it through other ways, but a good example is right here. I go remake front page, boom. Remake Qortal, boom.
Right. Yeah. You could have that does that. It would just grab the site, make that zip, and then you just publish it on Qortal, and that could all be done with the API. So that's all stuff that could be done. That would be like your programmer could make something that does that, right?
That's scripts. I just need to know that you have the capability, because whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm going to zip the file and do this to the file and do stroke dash and lay hands on the file of whatever the file is. I'm going, whatever. It's called like code and robots and scripts and stuff. Go get geek on me. Just do that. Make it go work. All right. So what you're saying for me and Sam Tripoli's ready to do this. Corbett. We're Richard Grove. Man, we're on it. We're waiting on you now. Okay. So what we're looking for is this. We be able to take whatever we're going to be doing on the front page, and I go remake front page, boom, and it does it. And it can be remake Qortal, boom, and it does it. Runs the script, done. Yep. Which is what Matt Raymer at Content Safe is kind of what he does, because he goes and looks for the IPFS file that's on each of our shows, and and his script sees that, it automatically takes it and it goes and does whatever the hell he does with it. Now, Odyssey here, this is a listener that did this because he wanted it up on Odyssey. He wanted to do it because he wanted to do it because he wanted to do it. So we're going, well, hell, I'm just loading one time the IPFS onto my site, and you see the page that we were talking about subscribing to. I go in here, and what he does is he combs that one page right here. We have all the lists of the articles here. When he sees a new IPFS, his script does this and puts it over on Odyssey. I'm not even doing this.
Right.
Which suits the living crap out of me. But it would be nice if I had, which he's sent the script to Derek, and they're working on it when they feel like it. So we get the script of what he's doing is exactly what we're talking about, where I go, boom, remake front page, remake Qortal, and it does it. Now that would make James' workflow great, or mine, because when I go through and you add another and I'm doing like 50 to 70 headlines a day, well, James would be like, one new video, every other day or something. So it's not that hard, certainly as us, but you go, all right, if I was to just do the podcast here, if I just do the radio show here, if I just did it on this page, that would be a start. If I just did it for Pirates, that would be a start. You see my point?
It wouldn't be that difficult. All they would have to do is literally just pull the site down again, make a static copy of it again, and publish it on Qortal. Then once it's published there, all of your followers will get it automatically.
I got it out of you. You finally did it. I know you've been careful. You said just. I know you've been careful. These guys, I give them such crap. They're doing their best and they're right. I know you wanted to say it. Trying to beat it out of them. All right. So here, you can see my point. When I have a new thing that's added, and I might not do it every article. I might not even do it every day. I might do it every week or something. I'll go remake Qortal. Boom. It zips, it packages, it scripts it. Boom. It's done. If you can do that, if we can interface, if we can create that through a
that's possible. Totally.
All right, totally. Through a WordPress with James, all of a sudden, James is your boy. He's going to be Mr. Qortal. But he will not do another freaking, just like me, I'm going to sit there and watch spinning wheel, brain damage. Oh, it didn't take you. I do it again. Kind of sorry, and everybody's pissed of whatever the hell. So I'm going, nope. I need a refresh Qortal page. I push that button, it scripts, it zips, it does whatever the hell it does, and it interfaces, with I don't know, how would you do, API, RSS, something, over at Qortal, and it redoes that page with the new material, and you're done.
Right. That's definitely possible, because
then
the UI...
you have people that are subscribed to it that automatically with that new material gets added to their file.
That's already a thing. Yeah.
So now
already a thing.
So now we just need the interface from us remaking our front page, and we go to not see, there's some complex, like a Highwire. When we did them, man, this is Del Bigtree. This is brain damage, this, and we did this IPFS, and I'm like, all right, these guys got skills, man, right on. We did that as a demo to these guys, but if we go Corbett report QORT.com. So when he does this, what he's really looking to do is he wants to have the comment live interface with the audience. Now, it probably Qortal wouldn't be able to do that.
Not
but,
yet.
Okay, maybe in future. Another incentive for him to get on it.
We will be able to do stuff like that because we have communications already too with QChat and so forth, and so we will be able to do those types of things
awesome.
as well.
Well, this is what they're doing now. When he goes publish to Qortal, it's going to take all these up to that point. It could archive all these comments.
Right.
So you at least have a copy of it, and then
we
later,
will have blogs and stuff like that where you can publish like an entire social media page. Right, you could have a blog, you could post whatever you want, you could have people comment and everything. That's all going to be possible in the near future. So
yeah, that's still stuck at 6.3.
I don't know. I've never seen it happen before. Not ever.
How do we start this?
It's your internet connection. I mean, yeah. You I guess could just end task on Qortal.exe and Task Manager. So just open Task Manager. You could try that. I don't think that'll work though.
Well, I can close it, but it won't restart it. I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
I'll
open
just
Task
close,
Manager. That won't work. I don't think you got to open Task Manager.
Task
click on the taskbar. Yeah.
Here.
Right click. That's the start button. Go to right after the search button or search bar there, or anywhere in between the icons. Yeah. Just right click on the taskbar, and then no, not that. Not on the folder. Like right next to that folder. Like to the left. No, down again. On the taskbar. To the left of the folder. Not on a folder. You can't do it on. Yeah. Like try somewhere in between there or something. Like I have lots of blank space in my taskbar, so it's really easy. You don't have any blank space. So close that, whatever that question mark thing is over on the right side of Qortal. What is that?
I have no idea.
Oh, there you go. Task Manager. There you go. Task Manager.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. So now click the Qortal thing and close it. End task. And then try starting it again.
Where to go?
I've never seen it get stuck like that. It has to be the internet just like dropped out. But usually it'll say it failed, and then it'll automatically retry. So I've not seen it do that.
No, you never seen it because you're not freaking.
Well,
you're fiber optic. I hear
yeah.
you
Well, and the connections over 4G, 3G, 5G, whatever, they're not going to be nearly as good.
All right, so we'll let that go. So you understand my point is that what James is doing is he's saving it, BitChute, DTube, Odyssey, YouTube, download the MP4. Well, this download the MP4 is what we're using to populate the IPNS.
Right. That's what we would use for Qortal too. Okay. Just like grab it. Yeah, but we'll grab the whole site at once. Like just grab the whole site and publish the whole thing.
Okay, so I want to, James and I will be doing a show again tomorrow night. Today's Tuesday, right? So we're going to be doing a show tomorrow night, and I'm going to be showing them this. I'm going to say, look, this is what they're going to be able to do. Everything that we've been talking about, they're pinky swearing me over here. Okay?
The follow is already a thing. So if you publish a site, anyone who follows you and you change any files, they will get those changes. So that's already a thing.
I understand, but the workflow that he and I have, it's like one more thing we got to do.
So we're going to get rid of the traditional internet, though. So eventually you're not going to even want to publish on the traditional internet. But until then, yes, we can totally take the site, download a copy of that site, and, make it a zip file out of it and publish it on Qortal. Okay. Now that could be done in the back end. Now you would have to do a few things, but I could tell your developer how to build it.
Okay, all right, cool. We're excited. Yeah. We're getting there. I'll let you go because we need to finish this up after I.
And once it gets running, it'll just run on the taskbar. Then you open the UI and you create an account. The account creation process is very straightforward.
So what we're looking at now, what James is like, he can't really use the IPFS here. We did shows on it. He gives an example of it, and you can go look at it. And a lot of his people, they're going, one time his site was down. He didn't know for a half a day because when it went down, people just go into IPFS, and then they told him, they go, hey, it's not synced up to current. He's going, hey, it's not synced up to current. How'd you know? Because my site was down. I didn't know it because people were going to the IPFS version. I'm going, see, they were using it. No. So this is what his big concern is live interaction in the comment section. And it can't, so he's going to have to keep this until you guys get that.
Right. That will be something that'll be possible when we have like a blog platform, which is going to be one of the first Q apps that we build as a demo. Right.
So we're getting,
and then anybody can take it, clone it, make their own, brand it however they want. Right. Yeah.
All right. I'm feeling it. Yeah. This is working out. All right. Thanks for spending time with me. We'll follow up on this when I get that downloaded and done. I got time, and then we'll because I want to start earning them. Then we'll talk about the earning.
Minting. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Peace, brother.
All right.
Thanks, man.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.